All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the special board meeting of the San Benito CISD. Today's Wednesday, March 26th, and I call this meeting to order at exactly 5:30 p.m. Roll call. Dr. Ariel Cruz,
Present.
Rudy Corona,
Present.
Frutoso Gomez,
Present.
Crystal Hernandez,
Present.
Alex Reina, Israel Varela III,
Present.
Mr. Perez,
Present.
Tony Torres. At this moment, let's move on to agenda item number 2, public comment. Was there any public comment submitted? Nope. Okay, let's move on to number 3, presentations. 3.1, the presentation from Mo Casey, Interlocal Agreement Purchasing Cooperative. Mr. Perez?
Yes, sir, we have a representative from, I want to say Mo Casey, Buck Goat Crease. Yes. Were y'all going to present, sir?
Are you ready for me?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, evening, everybody. It's good to see you guys. So I think Mr. President has a packet we can pass out to everybody. So I will, sorry. I'm kind of microphone averse, you know. So we have one of the great things about Mo Casey now is we have a bunch of people that have time to sit around and think about all the things that affected us as school administrators through the years, and then try to come up with solutions or innovative solutions, especially to address those things. And so because of that, we have created a purchasing co-op that's not in competition with the other big purchasing co-ops. That's not our goal. It is to offer very select services. One of those services that we offer is energy services through what we call the Education Energy Initiative. It's a partnership between Mo Casey, Valiant Energy, and JEXA Energy and NextEra. It's a large conglomerate of people. We sat down and worked with them to develop a plan, a program for school districts. School districts all over the state have to purchase electricity through a commodity contract. And a lot of times what I saw throughout my career and all the other I'll say former soups that worked with us were very frustrated with the fact that you had to do that and there was no benefit for such a large purchase from the district's point of view. So we approached, along with Valiant, we approached NextEra and asked them to help us create a innovative program that helps school districts. And so with that program, obviously you purchase your electricity for your usage at the schools. However, we did make sure that all the shapers, did I say that right? The shapers are correct so that you don't get hit when you're not using a building. School districts, especially at the elementary level, have long periods of time where that building sits empty and it's not carrying the full load. So we asked them, that was the very first thing we asked them to do, was to make sure, number one, they were competitive, everybody else. Number two, they took into account that there wouldn't be a surcharge in those off months. The next thing that we asked them about was how do we help the school district help the community? And so we created with them an affinity program, a friends and family program, where everybody that resides in the school district or works in the school district would then be eligible for their own personal electricity usage. Right now, we're coming in as the lowest rate in the state if they sign up for that. And then the last piece is that there is a portion in there where we can help districts if they have facility needs, working through the electricity program to help them deal with especially those urgent facility needs that you need to fund and finance. But we approached them and they said yes, and so basically it's a 0.5% finance rate if you have to deal with any of those facility upgrades. So that's the program in a nutshell. You have a packet in front of you that goes into all the fancy detail words. Y'all all know me well enough to know that fancy is not probably part of me. So I'll entertain questions if you have them.
How long has this program been in place?
We are very in the nascent stage. We have 5 or 6 districts, and we have a couple of municipalities that are on the program, but the municipalities don't get the benefits that school districts get on the affinity program right now. We're working to include that with them, but we started talking 6 months ago, and then we worked and we met right before Christmas with the NextEra folks, and that's how it became formalized.
So it's just in its nativity.
Yes.
Are there any districts from Region 1 that are already signed up with you all?
Hidalgo ISD is in the program, and La Jolla and Santa Maria, yeah.
When you say, I got a question, when you say for school districts, specifically for school districts, is that what you're saying?
That's what this program is designed for,
Okay,
yes.
okay. And when you say for the community, are you talking the entire community or only only the people that are employed by the school district?
No, everybody that
Okay.
resides in the school district, and then you can draw other zip codes into your program if you have employees that don't reside in the district. You can draw and include their zip codes in there as well.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, my question is, when you do that, so let's say we have an employee who lives in a neighboring town, and you put that zip code, now do you open that window for everybody in that town?
Well, you technically do, but they would only know through your communication. The communication would hit, so we will communicate. We have a partnership, a contract with one of those, I call them the creepy firms that work on your phone and send you those text messages, right, about things that we will drop in for whatever zip codes that the school district resides in, and those that are in those surrounding ones, it would be up to the district, and we'll help with the communication of that to your employees if they live somewhere else.
My other question is, at this time, you're saying that your rate has been the best rate, right?
Correct.
And since you are so new, how can we guarantee still having that savings throughout the longevity of the term?
Well, so your savings as a school district are locked in for however long you sign the contract. About 96 months is about as far out as you can go, that they can really contract and guarantee price at that point. As you know, residential, 2 years is the maximum that they can sign up for right now on Power to Choose Texas. And so they usually sign 12 or 24-month contracts. We have a commitment from NextEra especially to make this work, and they are very interested in making sure that they keep that residential rate as low as they can for as long as they can, just to ensure, honestly, they're also using this from their point of view to benefit school districts, kids and teachers.
You also said that you had Santa Maria La Jolla and some other municipalities here in the Lower Valley. Do you have any numbers on what type of savings they've had?
So for the when we run the residential savings, just like Buck did before he got into this program, I just kept signing up with the same person over and over and over, and didn't realize what the competitive rates per penny of kilowatt hour of electricity really meant until I started down this path, and I was paying personally twice the going rate just because I just kept renewing, and so that's the numbers that we're having are saving anywhere from $20 to $40 a month on the residential electricity, yeah, and so $240 to $500 a year gets to be significant money for school employees especially.
I guess my only question, Ms. Buck, is, of course, it's a sustainability. It's a new program. You got a few schools. I guess one of the things, of course, everybody wants reassurance of sustainability. How long can we drag it out? You said 96 months. I think that's one of my biggest questions is, you know, if this company is willing to stick it out and make sure that, you know, it is sustainable, even though it's not maybe working in their favor, but working in our favor. So how does,
They're a very, very large national electric firm, and they are committed to making this work in Texas. And they have a very large footprint across the United States, and because of that, their commitment is to make this work. To be honest with you, they have already started creating this program in the other states that they work in, and once they stole our idea, right? And we should have made sure that we should have done a better job of that, guys, right?
If I may just piggyback on what Buck said, NextEra is the largest producer of renewable energy in the world. There are Fortune 100 companies.
Sir, do you mind coming up to the mic? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. If I may just interject here, NextEra is the largest producer of renewable energy in the world. They're a Fortune 100 company. They've been in business since deregulation, even before. They own Florida Power and Light, which is, you know, in the state of Florida, power the whole state. So it's a huge company. It's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. Thank you. Sorry about that.
I have a question.
It's not Buck and Juan's. We don't set up a generator out back and run.
I got you. Thank you, appreciate it.
Where is the source of energy coming from?
It's mostly renewable, but like everybody, when they broker electricity, they purchase it from multiple areas and then provide it through ERCOT and then to the grid.
So it is coming through ERCOT.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you guys been in Texas?
They've been to deregulation 2002.
Yeah.
2000, okay.
I guess the only question I have also is, like most districts, we're in contract until 2029? How does that work for us if we're under a contract with
So
somebody?
we'll just do a blended contract with you for as long as we can extend it past that with the guaranteed rates for your electricity. But that still starts the affinity program immediately. As soon as you sign the extension of your current contract, then all the other pieces of it become available to you on that day.
So that's open.
That also includes the integrated efficiencies. Any improvement that need to be made for the schools, ACs, LEDs, roofs, anything that needs to be done, that will start immediately too. Basically, it's a forward lock. You're pre-purchasing energy. After 2029, the current contract expires, the new one would kick in.
When you mentioned the affinity, I have a question. So let's say I know nothing about electricity, right? And like Mr. Gilchrist said, that we just renew our contract. Does this program do the legwork for our staff or community that, like, they don't have to go out and look for the different?
Right, so we would give you guys a QR code or a URL code. We can put it at, you know, any, where there's a high volume, the football game, put on the scoreboard, basketball games, any different thing like hallways, wherever you guys want to put it, social media, and it's quick, 5 minutes. You click on there, they ask you a couple questions, you pick 12 or 24 months. It's guaranteed to be the lowest rate possible in this area. We did some case studies for Ferris ISD, who was patient zero, so to speak. And our 5 case studies found that one of the coaches was actually saving $1,800 a year. We've done some case studies for Edinburgh ISD, who is also part of the cooperative, and Rio Grande City ISD is also part of the cooperative as well. They just haven't signed into the program yet, but they're already joined the cooperative. We've done case studies at Edinburgh ISD. It was equivalent to 2% raise per year. 24-month contract is equivalent to a 4% raise. That's based off a teacher's salary. And that's not counting off of paraprofessionals. Once you look into paraprofessionals, maybe it's 5-10%. I'm not sure exactly what's being paid here, but it's a much bigger, for the custodian, it's going to be a much bigger savings than it would be for a teacher.
And so one of the things that always frustrated me as a superintendent was that you would see your electricity, somebody would sell you electricity, and then you never saw them again until your electricity contract was up. That's the one of the things working with these guys at Valiant, Juan and Rudy and Eric, they are committed to making sure that if you need consulting during the contract, that they're available to help with that. I still tell this story, I tell it everywhere. I had a light outside the gym in one of my districts that, was out when I got there, and it never got, I bet if I drove by today, it's still out, right? And we were working with somebody that wasn't even, I mean, they're not using the services at all, but they said that, and we called them, and within 24 hours, the light was changed. They have those kind of contacts within the provider world, that really helps. And so, again, this is not a buying electricity idea. We try to solve problems. And all the things that are very frustrating from a school administration point of view with electricity providers, we've tried to address every one of those. If we find a new one, we'll tackle that one too, so.
So you guys don't have any windmills in your backyard?
No, we have it's on a trailer. We just pull it up behind your house. Pull the cord.
And then just my final question is, both of you gentlemen are located in the FAR office?
No, Buck is located in
Oh, I know,
Austin.
but.
No.
Yeah,
You
so we're
two.
located in FAR, we're local.
Okay.
And, yeah.
By the way, I know that I didn't introduce myself, but I'm with Valiant, and I'm actually one of the managing partners as well, along with Juan.
Oh, and then both of you are local?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And we have let me get on mic, sorry. We have a team that actually handles any outages, any streetlights, anything like that. An ex-superintendent from AEP who retired, he's on our staff. We have people at Magic Valley, all the different utilities, the 2 different utilities you guys would have here to handle any other requests. So I know that who's ever in charge of buildings, if they have an issue, they call us and we handle it from there. That's part of our consulting service, and those are free of charge. So you come in and somebody could tell me that we have all these lights out that are out, we'll go ahead and fix those for you guys. Free of charge as well.
Do you all do, like for the school district, do you all do studies to where you can help us save energy?
Yes. So currently, most school districts are having, they have issues, as Buck mentioned with Shapers, they have issues then with the utility because the contract they purchased doesn't protect them. So since that, your utility charges are double usually what your actual energy charges. So we have demand response, is another thing that we offer. We send professionals in, engineers, and that's all free of charge. We do the assessments and see what we can fix. We look for the energy hogs first and foremost. AEP has, they will check your demand, which is your KW, how you're using your energy 4 times a year. We are given a lead time to be able to say, okay, let's say the gym at the high school is your biggest energy hog. Well, we'll let you guys know to be able to do what we need to do to be able to reduce that.
And I am here so often that apparently I'm honorary of being local, so. That's right.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation, appreciate it.
Hope y'all won't be offended if I.
No, we're good, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to agenda item 2.3, presentation for the bid proposal received RFQ-0225-ASPAC for the architectural services.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Hello, welcome.
Let's see here. My name is Raymond Janak. I'm with Janak Architects.
Rolando Rubiano, GRA Engineering, Structural Engineering Consultant for Janak Architects.
My name is Juan Mujica Jr. I'm with Janak Architects as well.
My name is Claudio Leon. I'm with Janak Architects as well.
My name is Ana Lucia. I'm Assistant Project Manager.
I'm Dave Vieira with WJHW, Theater Consulting and Acoustics.
Thank you. Let's see here.
I think you can push it.
Oh, just, I want to make sure I don't hit the wrong one. So, we have 20 minutes. We're gonna try and address some of the things that we understand the scope of work is. Number one, we wanted you to know how much experience we have in performing arts centers, which is substantial. Number two, we want you to know that we work with WJHW, our theater consultant, and most of the performing arts centers you're gonna see tonight, we have worked on together. Rolando Rubiano was appointed by the governor to the Texas Engineering Board. He's a structural engineer. We've worked together for over 20 years, and currently I know one of the things you want to do is a structural analysis of some of the materials that you have. By pure coincidence, today, as we speak, we're working on a structural analysis for a building with Texas A&M together. So I think those are the points that we'd like to hit, but we have experience in all of the above. And as well as project and construction management, we have done that over the years many times, especially after Hurricane Harvey in the Rockport area. We oversaw a lot of design build projects, and we were the project manager, construction manager. So these are some of our performing arts center. This happens to be Tolosa Midway. We have over 35 years experience in South Texas. We're a certified hub and small business minority-owned firm. This has been a very successful project. This is our team. GRI, you want to speak a little bit to the structural assessments?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's how long I've been working with Raymond. Apologies, but no, we understand that there is a need and a potential to salvage, reuse some materials that perhaps the school district has the advantage to continue to purpose towards this project. We understand that there's going to be, it's going to be a different site potential, it's going to be a different footprint, but you're going to have similar spaces. To that end, we have the ability to manage construction documentations from the previous project, inventory what you have in the field, and bring forth together a plan of action to your design build team to try to develop that economy and efficiency of reuse of it's not really reuse, but it's of selective first use of that material on this project. So that is something, and as Raymond mentioned, we're constantly being brought, in this case, Raymond's given us the opportunity to help the Texas A&M system in repurposing an existing building. That particular building is a little bit more of a challenge because it's a 1940s era building. But it brings a lot of similar approaches to understanding what we had before, both in documentation and field assessment, and then putting forth together an inventoried list of available materials to move forward, hopefully saving the project.
And the bottom line with all this, and the bottom line for you, is our job is to see how we can be most efficient in saving you money and have a quality performing arts center. Unique qualifications. We have over 300 years, not just here, but in our 300 years of combined experience. My son Nick could not be here tonight. We have 4 locations. We have completed over $1 billion in K through 12 schools. So if we were to work with you, you're not taking a gamble on us. We've quote, seen it all. And we work with 50, 60 school districts. Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay, several years ago, we were fortunate enough on Architectural Record, we were the top 5 K through 12 architects, not only in Texas, in the United States, okay? And so we're very proud of that. We were the smallest of the big firms that were selected as the top 5. Project management, let's see here. Oh, sorry. Well, several of these are construction management at risk. These are all multi-million dollar from $20 million to $140 million projects that we've overseen. Allegro Condominiums is the one I was mentioning. It was a design build after Hurricane Harvey, and we managed this for the owners for over a year, and were able to make sure they got a quality product. How we work with our clients, these are some of our typical fees. I'm not gonna bore you with, but we do pre-construction and management services, and, validate the scope, project budgets, scheduling, climate costs, design accountability, value engineering, which is a fancy word for cost savings, construction execution plan bidding, et cetera. So we know how to work for you to to oversee other folks.
If I may, value engineering is a critical part of this thing, because from the contractor side, I was just want to cut corners. I'm sorry, the mic. From the contractor side, I always want to save money, right? They want to make more money in their pocket. But for us, our intent and our purpose at this juncture for the value engineering is to make sure that you guys are still getting what you guys need primarily at a cost savings. But we're not going to save money at the expense of something that's critical for your program.
This one works.
Okay.
So other elements of construction and project management are the weekly meetings, the punch list, overseeing payment requests, make sure that the contractor is getting paid only for what he's done, and that we're always retaining enough money. Our rule of thumb is if the contractor goes broke tomorrow or dies tomorrow, is there enough money to finish the project? And so that's what we do for you. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be aiming this.
You skipped one.
Yeah, I know I skipped one, but I don't know. Oh, okay. So project execution plan, pre-project planning, project implementation. These are all the elements that go through it, and I'm not gonna go over line item by line item with you because I wanna go over some of our projects, but construction quality management, this is kind of one of our expertise. Baseline schedule being frozen and planned. In other words, we're always monitoring the schedule is frozen, okay? So how are we compared to the frozen schedule? I mean, are we ahead? Are we on time? Are we behind? And if we are behind, how do we get back on schedule? We regularly visit the sites. We have folks that are strictly construction administrators. That's what they do, is they make sure that our clients are getting what they paid for. This is construction act. Yes, sir?
You say you regularly visit the sites, so you don't have someone there at all times? You're in and out then?
We are in and out. Occasionally, we will do a full-time person on site if the project calls for it or if the district asks us to. But typically, we're out there 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
But we have done full-time on site as well.
Question,
Yes, sir.
are you normally there at the very beginning of the construction, like when the foundation is placed?
We're there.
Okay.
Not only during the foundation, but before.
Okay.
You know, Rolando is a structural engineer, but will tell you that the pouring of the concrete is important, but there's a lot of things that come before that are important.
Right.
The compaction of the soils, the length and size of the piers, and of course, we were actually on site recently on a project in Port Aransas, Texas, where the contractor had bad concrete and poured it wrong. We had to tear out, about a third of the slab. Rolando was there to help us make sure that it could go back in a quality way.
Thank you.
This is actually a construction of a performing arts center at Toloso Midway in Corpus Christi. How we work, Juan, you want?
All right, so a little bit about how we work. So we have design phases during the construction, during the design phase, and so we're with you up front early on to discuss what your needs are. So early on, we need to make sure, and we have some background that we can provide information for you. We'll ask questions that you may not have thought about, spaces that you may not have thought about, but things that we have to outline first. And so Raymond likes to say that these are the ingredients before we start baking. So before we put paper to pencil, we need to know what it is that we're designing. We need to know your budget, we need to know your time constraints, and we need to know who your stakeholders are so we can communicate with all of them. You know, if in this case, when you have, how are you gonna get buses in? Who else is are you gonna get food in here? What time of the day are you gonna be there? Is there traffic that we have to be concerned about? All those things we have to talk about early on before we start any design. And we'll talk to whomever your stakeholders are so we can get moving on that. But then we go to design development, we develop that a little bit more. We go into construction documents, we talk about the nuts and bolts of the project, and we'll be around for the bidding negotiations, answer any questions contractors may have, visit the site with the contractors so they know exactly what it is that we're asking of them. And then during constructions, we're involved, as Raymond mentioned. Then communication, we've learned, is key for a very profitable for the contractor, time, when it gets done in time for you guys and for us, and it's safe for everybody, and that's what we want. It harms us in no way. What we want to do is have the contractor finish on time because he makes some money, but we want him to finish on time so you guys get your facility, and we want to finish on time so that you guys get to see the quality of the building, but everybody's happy at the end. And so we know how to do that. We've been doing it I've been with Rain for 25 years. We've been doing it for those long. Oh.
Sure. This is a graphic. It's an example of a timeline that was compressed. In conjunction with the contractor, we were able to compress it from 20 months down to 11, and the students were able to get into their elementary.
Yeah, and this is an interesting, it has some relationship to where you folks are at. This actually was an elementary school that had a construction defect, well, lots of construction defects. But the school district needed to be in August of the next year, so we were able to gut the school and design and build it in 11 months, which is pretty phenomenal in K-12 business.
Did you stay within the same budget by doing that?
Yes, yes, sir, we established the budget. Well, we and the school district established the budget, and yes, it was in budget and on time. I mean, the school district in this particular case had no other choice. I mean, you know, they have 750 kids, and they have no place to put them, so we had to deliver by August. This is just some other sample of our schedules. We've never, the green ball will tell you, we've never failed to deliver a project on time and never missed a deadline for completion. Thank you, I'm sorry. Okay, so some of our performing arts centers that we've completed, these are Veterans Memorial Performing Arts Center, which I'll show you a photo of in Corpus Christi, the Performing Arts Center in Toloso Midway, 2 Performing Arts Centers in Toloso Midway. The American Bank Center is the Convention Center and Multipurpose Arena in Corpus Christi. We did that. The McAllen Convention Center, we're doing the new South Padre Island Convention Center. And the reason I bring that up is that it has a Performing Arts Center in it as well. And then Isla Blanca, and we did an amphitheater for SpaceX there, and an amphitheater in Eagle Pass, Texas. Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, and a couple of slides will show 600 plus of our clients throughout the state of Texas. If you want to go to the next slide. Of course, it's too small, but we just want to showcase. This is how ample our client base is.
95% of them are pre-K. We do have some higher ed. We're working for Texas A&M and Del Mar College, but most of them are pre-K. Okay, Performing Arts Centers. This is a Performing Arts Center in Toloso Midway. By the way, we completed this with WJHW. I'm going to go through these quickly so we can take, this is This was actually an existing renovation of a performing arts center that was gutted and revived into a new performing arts center. This Veteran Memorial High School auditorium. We just put out to bid last week. This is a new auditorium in Taft ISD. You'll notice on the left, by pure coincidence, they're the Greyhounds as well. But this is a new auditorium there.
Your grade won't be nicer than that one.
But anyway, so we, like Juan said, the first thing we got to do is program the space. In other words, what's the recipe before we start cooking? Okay, so we make sure that we know all the ingredients of what this performing art, the size of the performing arts center, all the stage is, you know, is it a flying loft or not? Those are the things that these gentlemen will help us with. Some of the buildings you may be familiar with. This is the McAllen Convention Center, which we did. This is the new South Padre Island Convention Center. And I've shown it for two reasons. One is we're proud of the design, and two, as I mentioned earlier, it has a performing arts center in it.
You can see what the Wayland Wall is, and we incorporate into that sacred over there, that wall sacred over there.
Okay.
Sorry, sir, before you, I know everybody had 20 minutes, just to let you know that you have 3.5 minutes.
Okay. So
I'll go very quickly, so. Thank you, yes, and proud to be standing here with the team and talking with you guys about this exciting project. I know that it's been a journey to get here, but it's going to get a lot better from here. So just a quick overview of WJHW. We're a team of specialists, and we work on basically everything in the building, and we are specialists in that up until the fire alarm, the structure, and the MEP, and all those other things that nobody cares about in a performing arts center. We work on all sorts of different projects, all kinds of different systems, everything. And so that, because everything has started to move to the network, it helps our team understand how best to leverage those technologies into future use. A long laundry list of projects that we've worked on around the state. All of this is to say that we are specialists in educational theater environments. And that's something to focus on, because an educational performing arts center is different from just a regular performing arts center. This is where young artists learn and fall in love with their craft. This is where parents come to see them. This is where your community engages with the arts in your schools. And it's a special place and one that has to be designed. So one of the things I want you to notice in the pictures that I'm just going to move through very quickly is they're all different shapes and sizes. They're all different finishes. They're all different. The thing that they have in common is they're designed intentional for young artists to be successful in. Look at the High School for the Performing and Visual Arts in Houston. A couple of views of that space. This is another project in the Houston area. I think it's just it's all good. Now, we're going to move through them very quickly. The things, again, I want to highlight is they're all specific and unique. They all serve the needs of the end users and the community that are going to be involved in these spaces. I'm clicking as fast as I can. Some you may recognize, some that may stick out that you may have been in the past. Again, they all serve a specific need. It's important, and the final thought that I'll leave as I flip through these pictures for y'all is that all of these fancy systems that we're looking at, all of these very specific angles and very specific materials and all of this structure all serves the same purpose, and it contributes to that. It all has to be fully integrated into the design. One piece doesn't work without the other. This is one of the most complicated building types that's out there, and we are specialists in that, especially when it comes to education.
And as he's flipping through, I will say that we are working together on the new Taft Performing Arts Center that I mentioned earlier.
We're going to have a way better Greyhound, though.
Go ahead, yeah.
If you couldn't tell, we've worked on one or two of these.
This is Mary Carroll High School, and this is a $142 million project that was construction management at risk. And thank you for your time and consideration. We'd love to work for you.
Sir, I got a question, Mr. Janak. As you well know, the history here, it's very obvious that you guys have been abreast of all the information and all the stuff that's been going on here for years. How can you rest assured that, that your architectural firm that is selected, and the contractor that's selected, that you guys will actually work together to make sure that we see this project to fruition and come up with the remediation plans that are necessary to continue to complete this project? Because you said something very interesting earlier. You said that if something would happen to the contractor, that you guys would, uphold and finish the project. So,
Well, yeah, what I meant was we will always have enough money to finish the project for you. As a matter of fact, we typically make sure we have 10 to 15% more than what we feel is required. So no contractor, as long as we're involved, is going to be able to charge more than what they have, more than what's on site. And so we feel confident, yes. And we're a team player. I mean, we team up a lot. We're team players. I mean, the South Padre Island Convention Center, we're teaming up with a firm out of Atlanta, Georgia that specializes in convention centers. Mary Carroll High School, we teamed up with a school. It was a $142 million project. So we know how to team and work as a team.
On that note too, we've had some, I'm gonna call them trouble contractors, but we always have your back. We have every contractor, not just in the valley, but in the Corpus area and in the coastal band knows about us. We have a long history of being everything on top of the table. You know what we expect of you. Communication is always gonna be key. And every contractor and their subcontractor are held to the same accountability to make sure that you guys, the owner, the end user, is getting what you have been paid for. And that's our stake, that's what we do, that is what we're known for, and every contractor knows that as well.
And that's what we'll guarantee to you as a principal of the firm. I'll guarantee that you will always have enough money to finish your project.
thank you, sir, appreciate it.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you have regular site visits. When you do those site visits, what is part of your quality assurance during those site visits?
Well, I'm gonna let Rolando answer a little. Part of it is it depends on what phase of the construction we're in. So when we do site visits for, say, the structural portion of it, the foundation, which we all know has perhaps been an issue here, we have Rolando, we make sure the soils are tested. We make sure we get written reports on the soils. We make sure that the concrete breaks are satisfactory to the plans and specifications that Rolando and his staff did. When we're at the civil engineering portion, or, the site work portion, we go through the same thing. And when we go through the mechanical and electrical, which is air conditioning and electrical and plumbing so we have the special, Raymond is not gonna oversee we bring in the disciplines. We'll bring in Rolando Rubiano for structural issues. We'll bring in WJSW for theater issues. We'll bring in our civil engineer for civil issues. We'll bring in our mechanical and electrical and plumbing. Of course, under us, but we have specialists at every corner. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, sir. And also, do you provide constant feedback?
Yes, sir.
As the project is taking place?
We provide a report every day.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you all so much.
We hope to work for you.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna leave this here.
Thank you, sir. We're going to have 20 minutes for the presentation, and then we'll open it up to questions from the board.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, thank you for allowing us to present our qualifications today. My name's David Monreal. I am a principal with GMS Architects. My business partner, Rowan Gomez, is here as well. I think you've already met David from WJHW, Rolando Rubiano from GRA, Cesar Gonzalez with Ethos Engineering, and Guillermo Quintanilla also with Ethos Engineering. We'll go ahead and start the presentation. GMS, I'm gonna go through kind of to make you guys familiar a little bit with GMS and the work that we do. So we've been in business for 49 years. In that time, we've worked with just about most of the school districts in the Rio Grande Valley. Our motto at the office is pretty much we're a client-oriented firm. You know, we always look to strive to meet the client's goals, whatever the project is, small or large. One of the points I want to make today is that most of the people that you're going to have in the room are decision makers, are the people that are here. You're not going to get it handed off to anybody else. So if we're doing presentations or updates to the board or facilities, these are the folks that are going to be with me. So we are going to be from the beginning of the project all the way to the end. So from conceptual design all the way through occupancy, these are the folks that you're going to see. We do have 4 architects that are registered that are in our office. We're office out of Brownsville. Our office is in Brownsville. Ethos is in Harlingen, and so is GRA. Over the last 5 years, GMS has designed over 46 projects. That's just in the last 5 years. We've worked with 10 different school districts, so we're very familiar with how school boards function, presenting to school boards, offering them information about projects, offering information for facilities, trying to keep them involved in the projects as they go along. We've worked on many different building types, aquatic centers, maker spaces, middle schools. 90% of our work is schoolwork. 90% of our work is district work. And most of those are with these folks here. So I didn't bring them along just because they've done maybe other fine arts. We've been working together for over 20 years now on projects. So we're very familiar with each other. This isn't just a marriage of convenience for this particular project. These folks are the ones we work with day to day. So they understand what we expect as the architect. They understand the design process, and we're very familiar with their work. So, as I mentioned, these are the consultants, Ethos, Javier Hinojosa, our civil engineer, he's not here today, WJHW, Green Rubiano, and then we do have an in-house ADA RAS specialist in the office also as well that we will utilize for reviewing any kind of ADA or compliance. So in the RFQ that was issued, most of the items that you're asking for, we do on a daily basis with all the projects that we do, starting with pre-design services, site analysis, construction, bidding, schematic designs, project closeouts. I highlighted a few items that we'll speak about a little bit later that I think would be a benefit to include early on in the let's say the oversight process to manage the design build portion of that. So we'll pick up a little bit on that, but through the presentation, so I'm going to show you just some general projects that GMS has designed, and all of these functions or all of these tasks are included in the project. So these are some recent projects. So this is a new middle school that we designed for Los Fresnos. It's 155,000 square feet. It was 33 million. We did have a lot of site analysis to do here. There was a master planned effort. They're separate buildings. We had a chiller system, so there was a lot of involvement with design and with program. Programming is very important. If you don't get the program right, your building at the end is not going to come out the way you expect. So you're going to hear me say a lot about program because I think that's one of the most important things that you need to include when you start these projects. So again, this is a middle school that we've done, large scale. There's interior picture, another picture of the dining area. This is a gymnasium project that we did for BISD. Again, their task or their task of us was, we need a gymnasium, but we want it to be competition. Hannah's one of their oldest high schools. They had, dilapidated locker rooms. So they didn't want to replace those, but they wanted to have a new place yeah. So this is the competition gym. Again, all it is a competition gym. They show up, they have competitions, and then they leave. That's how they're using this space. So we think it's a really nice gym. It's got the center hung scoreboard, it's got the roll-away goals. We were able to do some things on that, in that campus. Again, with all of the consultants who are standing here, were part of this project. We were fortunate enough to work on the UTRGV Harlingen Collegiate High project. And for us, that was a big project for us, but it had a lot of lessons learned because it was a very unique project. I had two owners. I had the district and I had UTRGV. Each one of them had their own standards of what they wanted to include. So everybody was learning as we went along. So there was a lot of site analysis that was involved. We had to go through multiple sites, figure out which one was the best for traffic and for bus drop-offs. Programming, again, was very important. When we did the programming, we had all of the folks from UTRGV there that wanted classrooms to be a certain size, science classrooms. We need this type of water systems. Like it got very complicated, so we had to organize ourselves very well to be able to get what we wanted at the end. So we did have to go through a lot of programming. Another design goal was, we don't want it to look like a high school. We want it to look more collegiate. This is a transition kind of space for them. So we designed a lot of open spaces, a lot of areas where they could do instruction in different portions of the building. So again, that's the open library concept, but we raise the floor, so when they have a presentation, that's where the presentation is given from. So again, the learning stairs gives an opportunity. They could have a class there. There's hookups for them to be able to project and to do lots of different things. Again, finishes were all tied to UTRGV standards. We work with them on the furniture. This was a really fun project to work on, but it was a lot of hard work to get all of this all put together. But I think it turned out well in the end. Again, more outside seating spaces, really giving them sort of areas where they could go and spread out like you can on a college campus and not in a high school. Some more shots of interior. So we did such a good job on that McAllen came back and said, you know what, we want to do the same thing. Okay, they had a different budget that we needed to work with, but this project was a design build project. So we were under Noble Texas Builders, so we were on the other side of what we're talking about today. So we're very familiar with oversight, third-party reviews, and exactly what happens in that process. So again, different budget. This is in a different area. We had different site constraints. This is across from the Cancer Research Center that had very specific needs for selections of brick, color, the way it was facing. So again, we had to work through all of that. So we had to make sure that we kept the program up to date and make sure we didn't miss anything. So again, just some other shots of that particular building. And so for the third time, then Edinburgh said, we want what everybody else had, but bigger and better. Everybody's always competing, so that's what we were gonna do. Again, different program. They said, we want more seating in the lecture hall. We want more classrooms. We want more science classrooms. So that's what we did. That's what we delivered, and they're happy with how things ended up. So those are some of the 3 larger projects that we've done recently. Some of the things that we're working on right now that are on the boards, very early in design, very early in programming, is the new middle school for South Texas ISD. It's going to be about 145,000 square feet, roughly about the same size as Los Fresnos, large structure, again, a middle school campus. So we're running through those early design processes there. And then we've just completed a new renovation for Point Isabel. Again, different project. This is not classrooms, this is more office space. We're moving people that are in portables into a new structure, and superintendent loved the addition so much, he said, I want you to renovate the existing building. So we've kind of pulled some of those design concepts and kind of re-energized kind of the admin building. So again, just a different kind of flavor of the projects that we work on. So speaking specifically about this particular project, third-party review advantages. Obviously, all these advantages are benefiting the district. Any oversight that we do is going to be a benefit to you as the end user, to make sure that whatever the design build team's doing is going to get delivered in the end. So everything from quality assurance that meet certain codes, the risk mitigation, which is obviously what we're after, cost savings. Again, there's a budget, like every other project that gets designed in Rio Grande Valley, there's a hard budget that we need to meet. Enhanced project coordination, we would be a neutral mediator. We're not there to tell the other design professionals what they should or should not do. This is strictly an oversight overview to make sure that all the gaps are filled before anything goes out to construction. It becomes very expensive to undo. And then obviously owner confidence. Reinforces any kind of transparency. Nobody's trying to hide anything. Nobody's trying to tell you different from what's actually happening in the field. So that's what we would deliver. One of the things that I think, and these are the 4 items that I had highlighted in the other slide, is these items I think they're always required as third-party inspections, windstorm and commissioning. Those can be done by any other engineer not part of the design team. We feel like that is an important item to include. This team could provide that because that allows this team to be more involved in the design from the beginning as it relates to windstorm, as it relates to commissioning. As I mentioned earlier, we have an in-house accessibility review person. We could leverage that person to also go out early to make sure that all of those things are done. And then some enhanced reporting documentation, and that's more how we're moving into more technology, and so I'll show you how we're starting to use that to leverage that technology to help us communicate better with you and with the contractor. So we'll start with windstorm, and I'll let Rolando speak a little bit about windstorm.
Thank you. And I think most of you, if not all of you, are very familiar with the Texas Department of Insurance's windstorm certification program. As David mentioned, as a third-party review of a design-build team, if we bring in windstorm certification and inspection services under the umbrella of a team such as this, it by necessity requires us to get integrated into not only the overall design, but the specific building envelope assemblies. What are they speccing out as a basis of design? What are they requiring for a performance basis of that particular assembly? What are the submittal requirements that can be required once we actually go into construction? Allowing this team to integrate ourselves not only in the broad view of is the design build team giving you more of a blanket requirements. If we bring in windstorm inspection under a team such as ours, we would be able to come back through the GMS team communicating to the owner. We're checking wall assemblies, we're checking window assemblies, we're checking louver assemblies, we're checking roofing assemblies, we're checking mechanical system connection assemblies. And we're at this stage of that quality control review. And so it really becomes not only a oversight 3,000 feet above the earth, but no, we're actually walking into the design build documents and coming back out with specific questions, and hopefully either having the design build documents answer those questions ahead of time or bringing those questions specifically in David's enhanced documentation communication format so that we're getting those answers before you're breaking ground. So that's one of the opportunities. And of course, once we're in there, we're doing our best to make sure that once the submittal process does take place during construction, everybody now is fully informed and expecting we're gonna get this window, right? We're gonna get that door, right? We're getting this roof, right? And when something comes in that's different, we have an expectation that's not being met and it'll get flagged. And that's part of the advantage of trying to bring in windstorm certification processes into the design-build effort through a third-party review instead of simply waiting until construction begins.
Thank you. So I'll talk about commissioning, which it's a word that is specifically associated with mechanical and electrical systems. Anything that has to do with the air conditioning and the way the lighting and the power system. Very excited about participating today. I'm particularly happy that because of the format of how you're planning to build your building, which is through a design, build, delivery method, that you're bringing a third-party reviewer. So we worked with this team many, many years, and we've been on both sides of the table as a design and as a designer of the building, particularly for a performing arts, and on the other side of the table as a third-party reviewer. So what we bring for you is listening to your needs and translating that in the vocabulary for the engineers and the architects, so that we can offer the design team the lessons learned that we had on other projects, opportunities for them to select systems that they're not, think about what you're going to select so that it's something that is going to be for the long term. If it's too expensive, then do the analysis of why shouldn't be procured that way. So again, the commissioning is inherent to the mechanical and electrical system, and what it is a third-party reviewer. Our local market is...
Just to let you know, you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So, like I said, I promise that when we talk about BTUs and KWs, David will be very good at translating that language into a language that everybody can understand.
Okay, so then quickly, again, I mentioned ADA review, so we do inspections for ADA. We usually do those typically early. Sometimes RAS go at the end, and what good is that if he finds a door that doesn't comply? So we usually try to go during framing. Like there's opportunities we can catch to try to mitigate any kind of revisions that need to happen later. So what I wanted to show was we're starting to use technology where we can do digital walkthroughs of the building. So we feel like we can leverage this asset as the building's going up. We can do walkthroughs to capture in-wall rough, the rough plumbing that's in there, ductwork that's in there, and it becomes a record. So it's basically like a snapshot of that day. 2 weeks later, you go do it again, it's another milestone. That all can get compiled, and that's part of what you could receive at the end as management of that building for later. If you have a leak somewhere, it's like, I wonder if I have a pipe in that wall. Well, we could always go check, and yeah, there is one there, and maybe, whatever, you could use it that way. The other way is that picture at the top. In that same model, we can attach drawings to certain things that we see in a walkthrough. We can email that to the contractor. He walks around the digital kind of walkthrough, and he can click on those buttons and he can see this is the detail that we saw that's not correct. And he can do that in reverse. We can send him that. He can mark certain things up for RFIs that he has questions for us. So we're trying to use technology a little bit more to try to speed that portion up. And so again, we use drones. There's point clouds, so we use Revit. If the contractor that's doing the design build uses Revit, we're able to take those models and then use them and compare them to the actual digital model in real time. So that just kind of shows the comparison of what's possible. So again, that's it in an overview. If we were going to be hired to do this, I asked the guys, show me or give me some ideas on what it is that you go look at first. So just really quickly, architecturally, we would look at program. I mentioned this over and over. You need to decide what the building's gonna be used for, what kind of UIL events. Sometimes there's size requirements that are required for that we would need to know, or you would need to try to plan those ahead of time. Code compliance is big. It's a big open space assembly, getting people out. You have raised seating. Code is a big thing. So then structurally, go ahead, Rolando, real quick.
Well, again, just quickly, we've had the opportunity, not only as Cesar said, to work on other performing arts centers, but really try to come to terms with some of the terminology. We've worked very closely with WHW, so we understand their rigging requirements, something that a structural engineer doesn't typically run into, what their requirements are gonna be. As a structural engineer, in particular to performing arts centers, we know we need to coordinate structure and ductwork. What we learn from being available to other performing arts centers is ductwork sizes, airspeed, audio quality of these things really brings to bear challenges that we've all had the opportunity to work together to resolve, and so we know what we're gonna be looking for when we're third-party reviewing somebody.
Thank you. I didn't think it was gonna go the full time. That's what happens.
Now we open it up for questions from the board?
I have a question.
Yes.
What is your specific role once the construction begins? What do you know, what's your role in the construction?
As the third-party reviewer, let's
Yeah.
say in the construction aspect of it?
Right.
Well, so once it starts, once we get into construction again, I have the experts that are involved in different scopes of the project. They would go out, write reports. We would be part of maybe the OAC meeting to make sure, hey, what is the schedule? Basically, I would be probably in the room when there's construction meetings, and I would report those back to you, however that would need to be done. Any other inspections or special inspections, I would be leveraging my consultants to go out to review that. So basically, it would just be an oversight, an overview of construction. Again, we'll go through and take pictures, run the model or something, and flag anything that we see against the construction documents, much like we would for our own projects.
And how often are you guys out there when?
So typically, we go out there, we're on site probably at least once a week, twice a month. Depends on, early on, if there's not a lot of activity, it'll speed up as more things get installed. But we do have an in-house CA person, so if I'm not there, somebody else, we can send somebody else to go. We review the pay apps, so we're very involved, we would think, in everything that's gonna happen on the performing arts.
So, Mr. Majority, you mentioned something very important, and once again, I'm gonna say it again, you know the history here. So, you know, the architects, firm, of course, are responsible for the payouts, like you said. So, that being said, of course, we're not in construction, I'm not, so I'm a novice to this. So, I'm assuming that before you pay out, you would make sure, or send your staff out there to make sure, to dot the i's, cross the t's, to make sure that everything's done the way it needs to be done
That's usually
before
what
you.
happens. We even tell the contractor, don't even send me a signed copy, because most of the time, it's not gonna stand up to what they submit. They're always trying to project a little bit further, and so we'll tell them, send us a copy, a draft. We give it to these guys, they go out, they review, especially if they're trying to order material that's not on site. We need to talk about how that gets done, But we do check, make sure the percentages are right, and even before that, before they start, on the pay app, we usually ask for a lot of breakdown. It's like, I don't wanna guess when we're out there. When you say 30%, I can look at that and I can say, well, no, it's 20%, and then we're just arguing about it. But if we start to break up the building in certain areas, then it's easier to track. Based on his schedule, I'm gonna start over here in area A, B, C, okay, well, that's how I wanna see it. Give me the percentages to make it easy for us to make that an accelerated process. It should not take that long, but.
So if there's any discrepancies, of course, you would bring it up to the contractor and say, you know what, this is.
We would say, no, we don't agree with this, or where is that, or,
Because
that's
you're-
not out there.
Yeah, because you're representative of the owner.
Correct, yes.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So bringing the team at the design stage before the project is actually built, or, going for bids internally within the contractor, we will offer a comment to the contractor, please ask for a breakdown this specific on all the disciplines, labor, materials, and more specific into the systems. That way, when you get the pay app, it's easier to identify of the things that get done. But it won't be a surprise for the contractor at the construction stage, because it was brought up at the design stage when the third-party reviewer team is involved.
And if I may, David.
Thank you.
So to address potentially what do we do during construction and how often we're involved. It's really important that the school district understands, not only do we understand what needs to happen, but the timing of when it needs to happen. So here we are talking about pay applications. Well, the first thing we're gonna do, David will funnel the pay application just to make sure that the agreed line items have sufficient breakdown and ability to be offered scrutiny in the field. It's very difficult to go out when I have a $2 million structural steel line. No, I need, how much do you want to get paid just for shop drawings? That way, I know, you want to get paid $35,000, do we have approved shop drawings? Somebody show me the approved shop drawings. Do you want to get paid for the joists? Yes, well then, how much are the joists? Not all the structural steel, just the joists, the deck, the steel fabrication, the steel erection, and things of that nature. So the timing of that input is important. The other thing, Mr. Gomez, that we will do, awkward to say during construction, but it really is, we will do submittal review. We'll be engaged in the submittal review process. As the design documents get developed, we'll understand not only what is the basis of design, but what will the design builder be required to submit as substantiating information that they're getting you the flooring that you asked for, the mechanical systems that you asked for, the doors, the structural systems. And we'll be a part of that submittal review. And then we can base our site visits not only based on the design builder's drawings that we've reviewed, but the submittals from their material suppliers to continue that auditing process all the way down to the physicality in the field.
Mr. Mondrial, I've got a quick question. 'Cause you said that you would only visit the site maybe once a week, twice a month. There's so many moving parts during construction. How could you guarantee catching
Well,
all the things that you all are talking about?
I know it doesn't sound like, once a week doesn't sound like a lot, but sometimes, I mean, there are a lot of moving parts, but sometimes the contractor should have in his schedule what his task. There's only so many things that he can do. Again, like I said, if I'm out there first part of the week, I usually will send my CA person back out there, or they'll just stop by, or they'll take a look at stuff. But I think that's why, using the technology that I'm talking about, we do a walkthrough. We're able to go back and re-review some of that. If you require more site time, then yeah, we'll agree to go do more site time. I understand the question and why that's important. But on a normal project, I mean, we usually will go at select times of activity. And these guys, I mean, again, it
goes back to timing and being able to not see every rebar get installed, but we want to see every rebar installed before concrete placement.
Right.
We need to go look at things prior to concealment. We need to give the contractor room to work, because we also get into a whole other discussion, which is we're going to come back and report, well, this wasn't done, that wasn't done, that wasn't done. Oh, by the way, but it's a work in progress. And so we potentially analogous to an educational forum, the way we would conduct our CA includes pop quizzes. We show up, hey, what's going on, guys? We show up and say, hey, we need to see these hold points. In other words, you're going to get tested at these points. That so go on. You're managing your site, but these are hold points that we need to go look at, and that helps us give the contractor room to produce for you, while giving us an opportunity to respond to GMS saying, hey, we're looking at this stuff and this is what we're seeing.
And we also ask the contractor for, before, like pre-installation meetings. So we'll pick all of those items before they place concrete, before they even place tile. Hey, show me the shop drawing. If there's something specific that we need to talk about, and we run through the rules. Again, we can't be there every day. We don't work for the contractor. So as long as I make that meeting and I tell them, you got to start over here and it's got to look like this pattern, and if we go out and it doesn't look like that, take it back up and you got to redo it. I was already here. I already told you once. It's in the drawing. So we try to at least pick all of those so that we're not doing that. We give them direction at the beginning, and then we spot check them as they go.
Sir, so that's the reason why you check them or you evaluate them before you sign out those payouts?
Correct.
So in other words, if they don't do it right, it's on them, fix it, and then they get paid?
Yeah.
Not beforehand?
No, right.
Okay, thank you.
I will say that I think not that I think, but the expectation will be that we probably have more oversight than what's been said. You know, we have a project that currently sits with more than a handful of errors, and that's exactly what we want to prevent. And I think we owe it to our stakeholders, you know, that doesn't happen again. So I know the question keeps coming up as far as visits, and that's the reason why, because we want to ensure that no mistakes are made and this project is delivered in the time that it's asked for. I have another question. In regards to your Edinburgh campus, you have that one at about $358 a square foot. Does that price differ for Performing Arts Center, or can we expect at about $350? What do you think
Performing
we're
arts,
looking at
you're-
for a Performing Arts Center as far as
You're probably in the $700 range or
per
more.
square foot?
Yeah. It's at least, you're at probably like $27,000 a seat. If you want to count how many seats do you want in one? Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
No, you're right on, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, we appreciate all the work that y'all have done for us, because you have worked for the district before, and
Yes,
what
ma'am.
we have at the high school is beautiful, and we thank you. But would this be your first performing arts building?
We have not, GMS has not designed a performing arts. We've done some theater type spaces in high schools, but not a standalone. Again, we're not designing it, and that's always gonna mention that. You have a design build team that has a design professional on their team. We're not signing, stamping anything. They're the ones that are responsible for the delivery of that. They're professionals just like we are. I think what I should have said earlier is this group, we're not project managers. We are more specific. We have more expertise than a project manager. Project managers are looking at it from 30,000 feet in the air, and all he's doing is handing the contractor schedule to you and saying, here you go. We're taking that schedule and looking at it and going, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Take that back. You might want to take a look at these items. So that's why we bring that expertise in the oversight. I think the way you're doing it, and as Cesar mentioned, I think you're going to get much better value out of what you're doing, because now you're having two different professionals doing the same thing. And again, this shouldn't be adversary to what they're doing. I know it's going to probably feel that way because we've been on the opposite side. So it does feel like, why are you checking my drawings? Like, what are you doing? But really, this is just a neutral, you might want to double check this. And sometimes, it happens. You're running through projects too fast, mistakes are made. So this is another opportunity as a check and balance, belt and suspenders. So I think it's going to be great, and you'll finally get to what the product that you're looking for.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Are you here for another one?
Thank you.
Yeah, but he's on the best team.
Good, yeah. Good afternoon, sir. We're going to give you 20 minutes, and at 3 minutes, I will give you your 3-minute warning.
Thank you, Mr. Pettis, I appreciate it, and good evening, everyone. President Lopez and the rest of the board members, as well as your staff that are here. My name is Brian Godinez. I'm CEO and principal and a partner at ERO Architects. And first off, let me thank you for the opportunity and for allowing to be here and present our qualifications for your Performing Arts Center. Let me start with vision, and I'm going to be looking this way. I was hoping that there would be a monitor right over there, so I'm going to be glancing a little bit over here. Every project that we start with, this is the foundation of our company. It's transformation of school facilities into thriving and sustainable learning environments that are future-ready. Our focus is that students, when they come out of the schools that we have an opportunity to design a program, are going to be ready for workforce, ready for society, and ready for higher education as their next step. And we don't typically call school facilities or education facilities or buildings. We tend to call them learning environments in terms of anything in the education side. So this is what we know based on your project that was in your request for qualifications. And of course, we've been reading the newspaper articles about your Performing Arts Center project over the last few years. We know that this is a district-wide Performing Arts Center, and we know that there are certain services that you're asking for the architect to do. All of these services are typically done from pre-design services, site analysis, educational programming, project management, schematics, construction documents, all the way through construction and to closeout, are typically the services that we provide for any learning environment or facility that would do for K through 12 facilities. So these services are fairly typical for us as we go through. What we know is that you want to build your Performing Arts Center at the Veterans Memorial Academy site. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that site in just a moment and that location. And we do know that you're considering a possibility for a center up to 1,000 seats as a possibility, multi-use with a black box, theatrical AV lighting, fly tower, multi-purpose dressing rooms, rehearsal rooms, control room offices, lounge, conference room, tickets, concessions, and lobby. And we know that there are specialized events that you want to put in this theater or this Performing Arts Center, specifically graduations, dance and theater, all the performance categories that you would find in a building like this, a lot of music, and district meetings and events, and also possibly community events. So we know that it's going to be a multi-purpose function. So about us. So we have offices in 5 locations in the state of Texas. We've served over 30 school districts. Our principal office in the Valley is Brownsville and McAllen, Edinburgh. We have designed over 300 K through 12 projects, and there are 25 of our professionals that are located in the Rio Grande Valley, some in Brownsville and some in the Edinburgh area. This team that you're seeing here in front of you, my partner Octavio Cantu would lead the project architect. He couldn't be here tonight. He's on his way for a medical appointment with his wife. Juan Cantu will serve as project manager. Robert Bruneta, who's about me, takes all of the design lead on this. Manny Zamora is on the production side with our construction documents. He's our in-house BIM director. Albert Cronus is in the Brownsville office. He would be in charge of construction administration. And then Maritza would also focus on production support, production services through construction as well. These are our consultants with Chanine Engineering on the structural side, Leo Munoz with MEP with Trinity. You've already met David twice. So David's with WJHW on the theatrical, acoustical. Carl Schack is with Price on building envelope, building systems, roof, exterior of the building. Michael Maurer on landscaping, and lastly, Mario Reina and his group, Melon Hunt out of Edinburgh on the civil engineering and irrigation system side. A little something about us working together as a team, us and the 6 consultants, is that we have 2 areas of focus that we believe in the process is very important. Cost control, validating the cost estimates, validating the program, working in unison with our consultants together with the staff, school district, meeting those project objectives, going through constant cost analysis at each design, ongoing quality management. And the quality aspect of what we focus on is that we're always checking, confirming, correcting, and then reconfirming. We've done 3 superstructures that have a lot of piers. The Hidalgo County Courthouse has 120 piers. The McAllen Performing Arts Center, which you're going to be introduced to in just a minute, had 275 piers. And the Seguin High School Performing Arts Center had close to 120 as well. So the combined over close to 100 piers. There's one thing that we do to be sure that we don't get into trouble when it comes to foundation and structure, and I'll let Manny come up here and say very briefly what that is. Where are you, Manny? There you are. Come on up to the microphone so they can hear you. Just briefly.
Not a problem. We have a very simple process at the very beginning. It's a collaborative effort between structural engineer, third-party surveyor. Before anything is drilled, before anything is excavated, we make sure that all locations are accurate, coordinated, and we double-check that prior to excavation. So that's how we ensure the accuracy. That is a multi-step process that we take it, we set up from the very beginning. So that's how we coordinate.
Thank you, Manny. We've never started a project that hasn't been completed. in terms of anything related to a structural. We used to be a structural engineering firm until 3 years ago. Now we've been working exclusively with Janine. So we've done 320 facility projects in our 25th anniversary year. So we've been 25 years this year. 10 million square feet of design projects, 295 projects are K through 12, 99 high school projects. What you're seeing in the background are some of our projects that we have done. 40 middle school projects, 117 elementary school projects, 59 planning projects, 127 of these 320 projects are renovations and additions, 35 career technology education projects, 17 performing arts centers and event centers. 12 of them are K through 12. Programming. I know that programming is going to be key on this scope of work, and we wanted just to mention a couple things about our approach to programming. So we have 3 core values when we start programming. One is that we believe that the design of a district-wide performance center should be timely, iconic, and visually reflect the culture and history of a community. We like to take what is important to the community, the history, the people, the land, and embed that in the fabric of the design, both outside and inside. Well thoughtfully programmed, planning our project to demonstrate your commitment to managing its resources responsibly and showcasing a beautiful, beautiful facility. And lastly, we believe that the process of design of an acoustic technical systems within a K through 12 performance facility, specifically one geared towards learning and teaching, which performance centers are in K through 12, that they should be curriculum centered. And those are our 3 values when it comes to programming. Then we have 8 steps that we typically go through just about in every building project, every learning environment, whether it's an addition or new construction or renovation, is we start with gathering data, stakeholder involvement. All parties are together to define the scope of work, establishing a set of goals and guiding principles that gets us through the design process. Sometimes we do it with design charrettes, where we invite the community to be a part of that process. Identify applicable codes, standards, and risks, determine quantitative requirements. Ultimately, we're trying to get to a floor plan and a floor layout, whether it's multi-levels or a single level. So we know exactly what the square footages are, what those quantitative numbers mean in terms of total square footage, and then determine that program is within the budget and it's not over budget, and then bring that final program to the school district staff and to you all for approval before we can start the design phase. So a little bit about our Performing Arts Center projects. This is one we did in Brownsville, the Buchanan Performing Arts Center. We're very proud of this one because this is one of 2 that actually won national awards. It went from regional to state to national in terms of its design and excellence in construction by the Associated Builders Contractors. This is a 400-seat performance center at Hanna High School. And what's really good and cool about this building is if you look at the top right-hand corner, this room breaks up into 3 learning environments with 3 removable, tractable walls where you can create different learning spaces and then open it up for a full performance for 400 seats. So its flexibility was real important to the school district. We actually modeled this 9 times in school districts that are similar to these small high school performance centers. This one is, we did this in El Paso. This is a 500-seat full performance center with music performance, choir, orchestra, dance, recital halls. This one was done in El Paso for the Andres High School as a standalone facility, has state-of-the-art performance. By the way, what we're showing you here, we worked in partnership with WJHW on these buildings. This is our pride and joy. This is a 900-seat performance center next to the high school in Seguin. This is a 33,000 square foot facility. These are all the services that we provided, which will be very similar to the services we provide for you with the school district. I have more pictures of this one than any of the other buildings. 33,000 square feet, had a fly tower of close to 105 feet. It has a 100-seat black box for small performances, combined with rehearsal rooms for choir, band, mariachi, and dance, dressing rooms in the back, lounge tickets, and concessions with a lobby. You'll see different perspectives in these photographs. This is almost the size, or pretty close to the size that you all were contemplating at the time when you started your first project. Pretty close to a 1,000-seat facility. Just giving you different perspectives of the building as I go through these photographs. This was completed about 5 years ago. A lot of attention was focused on the acoustics. This is the McAllen Performing Arts Center. Now, this is not a K through 12, but this is a crown jewel of our firm. I don't know if any of you have been to that facility, but we love this facility. In a moment, we're going to show you something here about that facility. Again, all of the services that we provided for this project are there, same that we would be providing for your facility. 93,741 square feet, 1,828 seats with 3 levels. This was designed for Broadway, theater, dance, concerts, and recitals. Disney came to look at it and said that it passed the qualifications for all of the Disney, Phantom of the Opera, Hamilton, Lion King, but unfortunately the market couldn't sustain because they wanted 12 nights booked, and the market couldn't afford 12 nights for bookings, but we did pass the qualifications for this. We love the fact that it was designed for the Valley Symphony Orchestra, and it has a 10,000 square foot acoustic fabric that comes out of the walls, and then it gets the room finely tuned for orchestra and Broadway, and then it goes back up for other kinds of performances behind the walls. We worked with WJHW, I'm sorry, another firm that acoustically tuned that room. This is one project we didn't do with WJHW. Sorry, Dave. I'll just run through some of the photographs. You get to go to the backstage pre-performance, but it gives you different perspectives of the building in terms of the backstage, behind, looking down. There's not a bad seat in this house. Now, let me give you an opportunity to meet WJHW. I'm going to turn it over for David. Let him talk for just a minute.
Thank you, sir. Good evening again, and I actually appreciate that slip up, Brian, and I'll tell you why. It's because that's not our area of expertise. That is a theater design for professionals that is dedicated for professionals, and we are theater designers and acousticians and specialists in education spaces, and that's truly my passion as a recovering or maybe not so recovered theater kid, if you couldn't tell by my personality. But it makes us an ideal collaborator in these types of projects. And it is truly in the collaboration that makes us successful and has made us so successful with projects over the years with ERO. As you've seen, these are very complicated buildings and they require very clear programming and coordination. It is important to know what we're building at the outset and that everyone is bought into that. And it's critically important that we've set expectations for what that planned outcome is for both the end users, the students, the faculty, the staff that are going to work in that space, and the community, the audience that's going to be in there. So we're going to look at a couple of projects. If I don't...
It won't go backwards.
Don't mash the button here. Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Oh, it went backwards. Good.
Oop. All right.
You want to go back?
Yeah. Oh, appreciate it. We got the man behind the curtain here running it for me. Appreciate you. So just highlighting a few things. You can see the scope of services that WJHW has provided. Again, we are specialists. We are a team of specialists. So it's not all me. I'll pretend to know as much as I possibly can about all of those things, but we bring in a team behind us that are specifically focused in each one of those areas. It's important to know that you have a specialist that's looking over these things. That is how you know that you have quality in the final outcome. So specifically on this project, you can see it reflects the community input that was provided in here. The vibrancy of the colors, the layout of the theater was custom designed for this purpose. Again, looking at some of the broader range of services, but the things I want to point out about this space is, again, it's serving the same purpose with a completely different layout, a completely different look and feel. That is the point of having a custom design and a custom set of acoustics and theatrical systems to support that. Again, a much larger project in the Houston area. This is one of multiple venues and consolidated in a building in the heart of the Arts Center. But looking at these spaces, you understand how you can arrive at a similar function, again, for student use and focusing on, again, the theater planning, the acoustics at the core of this. Yet another project, this is in North Texas, this is a custom designed concert hall. So it's not your traditional auditorium performing arts space. They really didn't need that. They wanted something for music, especially UIL music contests to be hosted in here. Again, this is a much larger space. This is a 2,200 seat facility. But again, it takes all different shapes and sizes, all meeting the same goals. So to kind of sum all this up and provide, tying back in with the values that were discussed earlier, no matter the shape or the size, this is what we're focused on, the student needs and the students and the young artists that are going to be working in this space. We are a team of specialists that focus on theater planning and acoustics so that it's fully ingrained in the design of the space and fully ingrained in the construction of the space. We all, as a team of collaborators, have to be focused on what our end goal is, and that is the only way that we'll be successful. Learning and teaching theaters are some of the most important spaces that we work on and that we get to build and you get to build as part of your community. More members of your community will walk into that space to see their children perform, see the students perform, than anywhere else in your district. What are you saying about your district? And then how are you supporting those young student artists? That all has to be part of what we do and the work that we do. And that is what ERO and WJHW do every day and every time we work on these types of facilities.
We have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Dave. So I want to talk just briefly about project management. All 320 of our projects, our 295 projects, we have project management approaches to each of them. There's a process that we put in place for each of these projects to be able to successfully close out and be done on time and on budget. The process that you see right there is very typical if you hired a project manager as an owner's rep that wasn't doing the architecture or doing the construction. But we as architects do project management on our own projects. And when it comes to project management, there's 2 core objectives that we want to accomplish, and that is to be able to have cost control and schedule control. So from a schedule standpoint, we have many projects where we actually got ahead of and were the first to roll out on multiple bond projects where multiple architects were working for a school district. You can see these 3 examples where we were ahead of schedule on some fairly large-scale projects. Let me see if I can go back. Can you take me back? Yeah, there you go. And then these 3 projects were ahead of schedule by as much as 2, 3, or 4 months. Smaller scale projects, but still being able to get ahead of schedule. And that's based on the technology and the experience that we have. And then when it comes to cost control, these are some examples here, some locally, of the projects where we've been able to come in under budget. And we always strive to be under budget when we can. When we go out for bids with a contractor, we always like to land in the middle. Our cost estimate like to be some come over and some come under. And we know that when we land in the middle, we've been very successful in our cost estimating and trying to come under more than once or twice if we can when we do projects. Oh, and one more thing. So going back to the site, we took a look at the site to see, could we fit a 1,000-seat performance center at the Memorial Academy and have enough room for parking? And so we did some concepts, and we introduced those in our request for qualifications just to see if it could fit, what it would look like. Robert, you want to walk through this briefly?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. So at the firm, we have a motto to respect the land, the people, and the culture. So what we did was go around San Benito and see what popped out at us and how we could implement that into the design. So we grabbed inspiration from the high school, we grabbed inspiration from Berta Middle School, and then also from the administration building that we're in right now. So we tried implementing that to our best of our ability into the design and give you something presentable. We understand that, like one of my mentors said, el gusto se rompe en géneros. So we want to have a very collaborative process with you guys in order to tweak this, in order to get rid of the whole design and start over. We're pleased to do that, and we would love to collaborate with you.
Just want to note that this would not represent any final design. This was just us messing around just to see, can we fit it on the site? And let's take it a step further and see what it could look like. But this does not represent anything with regards to what the project would look in terms of its final phase.
Thank you, sir.
But it is pretty, though. How much more time do we have?
That's the 20 minutes.
Oh, can I just take one more minute? Do you mind? Okay, so in closing, we've designed over 295 K-12 projects. Over 285 projects are performance center based. I'm going to pass out some handouts for you. That's our McAllen Performance Center magazine, and this is some handouts we wanted to give each of you. We have experience designing modern K-12 performance centers, and we've got a solid track record in being able to cost estimate, meet budgets and schedules, and complete our projects when we begin them. We're ready to serve. And you can trust us. Our references are impeccable. So I want to say something briefly. I mean, it's clear that the Performing Arts Center, the first go-around, had issues. We know that. And you're back in for a second time. So I wanted to get a sense of what are we feeling right now with regards to this project. And I couldn't help but think about that this is an opportunity and time to move forward. It's an opportunity to rebuild. For us, we missed the first chance to be your architect. So for us, it's an opportunity. You're coming back and giving us that opportunity to be your architect, and we're grateful that you've done that. For you all, as board members, working with staff, we think that this is an opportunity for a new and better facility, a new and better iconic facility for the community that you all get to make judgment on and decide exactly on its direction. And then lastly, for the community, we think it's a time for them to have a new venue for celebrating smiles and celebration of events, to have memories, create those memories for a long time. So we'd like to be a part of that. We want to have that opportunity to do it together in this opportunity as we move forward and we rebuild what we think is going to be iconic for the community. So we thank you all for having us be here for you. I hope I don't mind that I went over it another minute.
We're going to open it up to questions also
Okay,
from the board.
we'll take those questions.
So my first question is, as you do know, we did have some problems with the previous construction site, and there are materials and things like that that we already own and things like that. How will your team be able to implement those into this new site and this new construction? Would you look into those and see how that can be done in order to do some cost savings for us?
Well, we know that you have materials that are related to the building, and you may even have some systems that may be related to the building. And I'm going to let two people answer that question. One on the building system side, on HVAC systems or anything that may be available that could be used in the project. Obviously, we would want to utilize what you have. That'll be up to the contractor as well, because the contractor is the one that buys out everything. Will the contractor allow us to do it? Can we design to what you have? Yeah, that's not going to be an issue for us. But let me start with the HVAC or anything related to electrical, plumbing, or mechanical. I'll let Leo answer that question. And then, Manny, you can answer it on the other materials.
Sure, and thank you for allowing us to come and talk to us about what we can do for you and how we can help you. As far as reusing the equipment, the first thing I think about is warranty. All the equipment that you have up there, I don't know what it is, it's probably out of warranty. So it'd be kind of hard for you to have somebody warranty a product that's out of warranty already. So that's going to be the first challenge. The second challenge is having to design around an equipment that you already have. Can we do it? Maybe, but it's going to be quite difficult. If I was you, I wouldn't use an old piece of equipment that may give you problems in the long run. I'm talking more about HVAC equipment. If you have electrical equipment that typically has a longer lifespan, I don't have a problem using it whenever we can. But equipment that does have a short lifespan, like 10, 20 years, I would shy away from it. That would be my recommendation.
As far as building materials go, we would just assess the structural integrity of what you already have. Obviously, steel, block, brick, a lot of that can be reused, and it's a matter of quantifying to see how much you do have and how much we can incorporate and how much we can salvage. So we can still work with a lot of what you already have. I like that. Structurally.
Sir, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
You hit on a lot of key points, and it's very obvious that you followed this whole process from the onset till now. I think one of the key things, and I mean, this whole board is pretty much thinking and saying the same thing. We need to get this project done. We want to do it in a timely manner, and of course, everybody working together. And it's very obvious that the first part, the first project, like you said, didn't go that route. It's very obvious. So my question is to you, and of course, things that are coming up now, we might not have been privy to in the past, as far as certain operations and how things are supposed to work. But you mentioned something very important as far as, you mentioned cost control. You mentioned payouts. So I guess my question to you is the checks and balances as far as that's concerned, as far as releasing the check, the payouts, and making sure you work closely with the contractor and making sure that they're following what they're supposed to be doing. And not paying them and then come to find out 4 or 5 months down the line, they're not passing an inspection or so on and so
We
forth.
don't do
So-
that.
Exactly. So I think that's one of the things that we're very adamant about that, just to make sure that, we don't, those professionals don't make the same mistakes again. So I think it's very important. You mentioned a lot of key points, so, I mean, we're very passionate about this building. It needs to get going, and also, be responsible with the monies and the project in itself.
We can honor that. I mean, if that is a requirement, I mean, we do it anyway, but if it's a strict requirement, we have no problem working in that kind of environment and representing you before the contractor's ever paid.
Okay, sir,
No
thank you.
problem doing that.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
I just want to say that you mentioned the magic word, the community. Okay. We are here, we all represent our community, and we already went through a bad experience, and I know you said you have your team. Our team here is more than 20,000 people.
Yes, sir.
Our community, okay? This is a team work, and we want to give the best to our community, to our kids. But I just wanted to tell you that, if you get the opportunity, just be very transparent to us and the community.
Ms. Reyna, I didn't notice that design charrettes or the stakeholder engagement was part of the scope, although I did see press and public relations. I will tell you that just about every one of the performing arts centers that we've done, we typically have gotten the community in and done design charrettes and provided them an opportunity to be part of the process. We think that's the part when I put up a minute ago about building trust and about the chance for the community to be part of this and have an opportunity to create a facility where they're going to have lasting memories, whether they're smiles, cheers, clapping, or yells, or whatever they are. But the fact is, when Robert mentioned that we get to design a building that reflects the community's culture, the land, people, and history, we'd like for the community to be a part of that design process. So if Design Charrette is an opportunity for us to come in and be able to have them inputted on the design process, we would encourage that. We would like to see that done.
Appreciate it.
How often are you guys on site?
Once a week.
Once a week?
Are you talking about during construction?
Yes, sir.
Once a week. We typically are there once a week, and we're providing, well, I'm going to let Manny do that. Manny's out there in the field more than anybody that's standing over here. Talk about how we go about the site visits when we do it in the F4Rs.
Sure. Typically, we provide weekly visits, meet with the contractor, meet with the owner, obviously trying to keep abreast of everything that's going on, all major issues. We do provide weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, depending on how you guys want to arrange it, field observation reports, let you know what phase we're at, what's going on, what we're seeing, what we're observing. Obviously, we do have our OAC meetings, meetings with the contractor and the owner at the same time, and that integrates tightly also with the pay apps, which is another concern, so we don't proceed anything forward until we get evidence and proof of everything else. So we are pretty active, we are pretty involved, especially when it comes to the construction component of it. We are on site pretty regularly, and I'm also down the road from you guys, so I would probably be visiting the site quite a bit. Right now, I'm currently visiting McAllen and Edinburgh at least once a week to every other week.
If we had forecasted a certain completion date, and for some reason we fall behind, whether it be because of weather, delays, or something like that,
Right.
I know it's hard to say, but would you guys still try and push for that target date, even, let's just say we lost a couple of weeks because of weather?
Sure. We still try and do. We try and we try to advance it as much as possible. Obviously, we do establish our critical path, and we have our milestones, and those are the critical points that we're trying to meet. As long as we meet those milestones, we know that certain delays will happen, whether it's the wind or weather, will set us back, but we try and get those milestones, that critical path established, and as long as we hit those, we know that we're either gonna come in on time or early. So we try and account for some of that.
I would like to chime in on that. The design team is very critical when it comes to their inspections. So, and the construction cannot continue if an inspection is not passed. So the more the engineer is there, or the architect, telling the contractor what he's got to do right so that the inspection can be passed, the faster the project moves forward. So it's critical that we're there whenever they're asked for us. And if it doesn't pass, we're there again so that they can get their inspections passed. That's where we help the most to move the project along faster. Thank you.
Mr. Corona, let me just make a pledge to you right now. So our construction administrator is just a few miles south of here, lives in Brownsville. Manny lives in the Brownsville area. So I'll make a commitment to you that we'll be here twice a week. This project is too important. This project is extremely important for us. We're getting a second chance. The community is key in getting this building done on time to be sure that we're not going to have any issues during construction. So our commitment, and when we negotiate a contract with us, we're going to put 2 times a week, not once a week. Sure.
I have a question.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
many projects are you currently overseeing?
20, about 20, 21. And they're all in different phases, early in preliminary design, all the way into getting close to closeout on some of our projects. The largest project is the Hidalgo County Courthouse. That one's opening Monday, thank God. Oh, yeah, it's been a while.
I have a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
So of the performing arts centers that you showed us here, which ones were designed by your team?
The ones,
ones
except for
we
what
got.
WJHW showed?
The ones today, yes.
All of them.
All of them were
Yes.
designed by your team?
Yes.
Okay.
From start to finish.
And then, so I have another question for David or Brian. So, you know, we obviously have a budget. We don't want to underbuild it or overbuild it. And so what factors do you take into consideration to make sure that we have the right amount of seats?
Well, I'll start with this answer, is the first thing that we do is we have to visit you and determine a program. And that program basically is getting into the core aspects of the space requirements, square footage, to be sure we're meeting any departmental needs or any function needs, et cetera. At that point, when we have a sense and have a pretty good idea of what that program is starting to look and feel like, that's when we start bringing our consultants in, and especially this guy over here with his firm, in terms of theatrical acquisition aspects of what we have to do and the technical aspects of the building. But that programming is where we start first. That is everything is driven by that program. And then from there, we learn building size, building orientation, how it fits on the site, and then move into cost estimates at that point. But you want to speak a little bit more about that?
Sure, happy to. Yeah, you couldn't have been more on the nose with the program and making sure that we are designing the right building and it's all sized correctly for the intended use and that it serves the purposes that we laid out, right? So looking at UIL contests, understanding how those things will move through the building, making sure that you have the right building that serves your needs, not the building that anybody else has, right? And then when it comes to the systems specifically, looking at the theatrical systems, the finishes, we need to focus on the things that are the have-to-haves versus the want-to-haves. Want-to-haves are amazing, right? They're really great. We're planning for all of those, right? This building is going to have a long lifespan, and none of us know what technology is coming next to see in there in 20, 30 years, right? What have we put in there so that we can facilitate that technology into the future? And what have we baked into the actual building that will stand the test of time so that it will sound great today, tomorrow, 30 years in the future, it still sounds great, still functions great, and it is able to accept those things in the future. So.
The three determinants to determine the cost of a building comes down to budget, square feet, and quality. And each one plays a role in determining what the cost is. If you put more emphasis on budget and square footage, then that may impact quality. If you put more emphasis on square footage and quality, that may impact budget. It goes all the way around. One of the two that takes dominance affects the other one in terms of the determination of what the cost will be. But programming starts it and takes it all the way into construction when we get those documents completed. Did we answer your question? Yes, sir. Okay, good.
Do you have any other questions? Thank you,
Last
gentlemen.
one.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. go
Last
ahead.
one. If you get the project and Disney comes down and signs off on it, are we going to get a Disney park in Cameron County?
Well, I will tell you
Could you
that
commit to that
the
one?
best I can tell you is that the Hulk will be here and be at the ribbon cutting. That's about the best I can tell you, is we can probably get the Hulk over here. I just don't want him to cause any problems to the building when we do. But I am proud of the fact that we passed the Disney requirements for the McAllen Performing Arts Center. I have a question for you all. Are you all still contemplating the possibility of a 1,000-seat facility?
Yes, sir.
Is that your target? Okay, that says a lot for us, That one number requirement says a lot for us in terms of budget, size, exactly what the systems are gonna look like. That's the number one thing where you start, is how many seats do you want in that facility? We were looking at 1,000. Yeah. That seems to be the sweet spot for school districts, but there are some that are much larger and some that are smaller. But around here, I mean, you've got the one in Harlingen was pretty close to 1,000, and the one in Los Fresnos was close to 1,000. 950, yeah. Those are the ones that are closest to you all that were done recently in this area.
Well, ours is gonna have to be 1,000.
We're here to serve.
1,001.
1,001?
Yeah.
Not a problem. That's a good number. Any
more
other
questions?
questions?
No, we're good. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
You're more than welcome.
Yes, sir.
We
Thank you.
understand that you're going to decide tonight? Okay, all right. Do we step out, or can we sit here and stay in the room, or do you prefer we step out?
You can stay in the room.
Yeah, are you all going to go to another room? And okay, all right. Thank you again for having us. We really appreciate it.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to agenda item number 4, action agenda. 4.1, discussion possible action to select the architectural firm regarding RFQ-0225-A SPAC for architectural services, and 4.2, discussion possible action to authorize administration to negotiate contract with a select architectural firm. Can I have a motion to take this executive session? I got a second by Rudy. A motion by Rudy, and I got a second by Crystal. All in favor? Motion carries. We go to close, 5, closed meeting in accordance with the government code of the Open Meeting, of the Open Meetings Act. The board may move into executive session for the following reasons. Section 551.071 for the purpose of private consultation with the board's attorney and/or subject or matters authorized by law. Section 551.074 for the purpose of consideration, appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline or dismissal of public officer or employees, or to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee. We go into executive session at exactly 7:27 p.m. Thank you. Okay, we reconvene into open session at exactly 8:24 p.m. Let's go back to action agenda 4.1, discussion of possible action to select architectural firm regarding RFQ number 0225-ASPAC for architectural services. Entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to select Gignac as the architect.
I got a motion by Mr. Varela for Gignac. Do I have a second? I got a second by Mr. Corona. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 4.2, discussion and possible action to authorize the administration to negotiate a contract with a selected architectural firm.
So moved.
I got a motion by Ms. Hernandez. I have a second. Can I have a second?
Second.
I got a second by Dr. Cruz. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Let's move on to agenda item 6.1, employment resignations, retirements, and terminations. Mr. Bettis?
Yes, I recommend that we approve the employment resignations, retirements, and terminations as discussed in executive session.
I have a motion. I got a motion by Mr. Corona. Can I have a second? I have a second by Mr. Gomez. All in favor? Motion carries. 6.2, discussion of possible action to terminate probationary contracts as recommended by administration at the end of the 24-25 school year.
Yes, administration recommends the termination of probationary contracts as recommended in closed session at the end of the 24-25 school year.
So moved.
I got a motion by Dr. Cruz. You have a second? Second. I got a second by Mr. Corona. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 6.3, discussion of possible action to propose a non-renewal for 24-25 term contract of AT.
Yes, sir. Administration recommends the proposed non-renewal of the 24-25 term contract of AT as discussed in executive session, closed session.
Can I have a motion? I got a motion by Mr. Corona. I have a second by Dr. Cruz. All in favor? Motion carries. At this moment, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion. I got a motion by, I got a motion by Rudy. I got a second by Mr. Varela. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, we adjourn this meeting at exactly 8:26 PM. Thank you.